Okay, welcome guys to a new series, Are They Worth It? So, we're going to be looking at our first player for the first episode, Alvaro Morata. So, just a quick profile on him. Nationality, Spanish. Date of birth, 23rd of October, 92. Makes him age of 25. Position as a striker and his current team is Chelsea. They did sign him from Real Madrid for about 58 million. With possible 12 million add-ons, so obviously looking at around 70 million worth of a player. So getting on to his 2017-2018 season, so just a quick statistic breakdown. He had 30 starts in all of his competitions, and he has also 17 appearances coming off the bench. He managed to get 15 goals in all competitions with 6 assists, so it's looking around being involved in 21 goals in the season. He's averaging about 2.6 shots per game, 73.7 pass accuracy, about 1.6 aerials won, and he managed to get 1 man of the match. And according to WhoScored, he's getting an average rating of 6.8. So just looking at the stats, obviously you're looking at a 70 million pound player. With those stats, you might be looking for a bit more, especially with 21, obviously goals being involved with, out of 47 games. I mean, you might be looking for around the 30 mark, especially for a player of his calibre. But like I said again, he is quite young, so you might be looking, is that the potential that he can obviously get further than that? Can he keep going further than that? With his average rating, 6.8. Again, I mean, calibre player, especially with him coming from Real Madrid, obviously his time at Juventus, you're probably looking, obviously something around 7.5 mark, really, just to see what he's like. But again, one season doesn't always necessarily show their ability and their potential. Chelsea having not necessarily the best season last year as well. I mean, if they have a better season this following year, depending on who they can bring in, who they let go. So I'm just going to play you a quick clip from ESPN UK. It's just talking about why they believe that Morata has failed at Chelsea. Do a quick look and I'll talk about it after the clip.
The problem is the guys that have come in the summer haven't been up to. I mean, I know Morata got a goal, but he's on his backside half the first half again. Goes back to Costa in the summer. If you text message a player to tell him you're not wanted, right? First of all, you don't do it to a youth team player, a reserve team player, or any player. But if you're going to treat somebody like that, you're damn well sure you've got your man lined up to replace him. He didn't. And that was absolute folly back then.
Let's talk about Morata, Ali, because as Craig said, he got his goal early as well. And you're thinking, right, now we can kick on. But he just seemed, just his touch, as Craig said, he spent a lot of time on the ground. I think everyone championed his cause when he came here, when we talked about Lukaku or Morata, but he just hasn't lived up to it, has he?
Well, we championed his cause. Manchester United initially was championing his cause as well because he seemed to be the first choice. Everybody was after Morata. He was a hot commodity. And what we had seen from him, both at Real Madrid and Juventus, was a guy that coming off the bench was productive, was scoring goals. So the assumption was, well, now that he's going to be the guy, we will see the same level of skill over a long period of time. And so therefore the productivity will go up. Well, we were wrong. We were wrong. Because what happened is that when he became the guy, the shirt got a little tight. Yeah. And when the expectations and the questions became more and more about, why are you not scoring? Why are you not scoring? Yeah. Why are you not scoring? He had no answers. And the confidence went, and he went very quickly. The difference between one of these guys and the real top-tier strikers is that they maybe ask those questions, and then they come back and score in bunches. We have been expecting Morata to come back and score in bunches, and it hasn't happened.
Wrong place, wrong time, or not as good as we thought?
Who, Morata? Well, you can only assume wrong place. Not as good as we thought, sorry.
That assumption changed.
One of the two.
I'm just thinking, listen, I understand. You start the season fantastically well. You've got the confidence of the manager. Everything's going great. You then have this ding in your confidence, and it's about responding to that. And the old cliche is, oh, you just need one to come off the knee, you just need one to come off the backside, or you need the goalkeeper to come at one and flap, and you head it in the back of the goal, and you build on that. Yet you don't see that from Alvaro Morata. So regardless of what league you're playing in, if you can't build on those gifts, then I'm sorry, you're just not good enough.
I actually think he's a very, very good player. But boy, he needs to toughen himself up. He really needs to take a look at himself and toughen himself up. It was clear what Tottenham were doing to him. They were saying, Sanchez and Vertonghen were saying, we're going to back ourselves. If you try and run in behind, we're going to back ourselves or our full-backs to tuck round. But whenever that ball goes short into your feet, whether it was a two centre-halves or a midfielder or whatever, bang. They were right up behind them. They were trying to nick the ball in front of him. They were getting physical with him. OK, they might have given the odd foul away. But that was the ploy straight away. When the ball goes into his feet, anywhere in the field, get in there tight. And if he wants to spin and run in behind, then we'll back ourselves. And he couldn't handle it.
But the thing is, you don't play for Real Madrid, you don't play for Juventus, you don't play for Chelsea unless you're a very good player. I think Alvaro Morata is a very good player, potentially. The trouble is, he's never been the man until now. It's one thing coming off the bench, it's one thing playing a role for these other clubs, as big as they may be, as big a stage as it may be on, is another being the man at a club with expectation. Chelsea, maybe not the expectation of a Juventus or Real Madrid, but a lot of expectation, and he hasn't handled it.
So just looking back at the clip, I mean, are they fair on Morata there? I mean, they're talking about expectations, not knowing about expectations. Obviously, I know they did talk about that he did play at Real Madrid and Juventus. They might not have the same expectations as Chelsea. He's fair enough. Like I said, he's a young player, so the potential is there. I mean, they did mention the potential, and he's obviously got a big price tag on his head. Is it a matter of keeping him, moving him on, or using him to potentially bring someone else in? Does Morata fit in the team that Chelsea are trying to build around him? Is it the coaching staff? Is it the fact that Antonio Conte is not actually using him properly? I mean, some of them questions weren't really answered in the clip. It was just more of like an attack on Morata that I felt anyway. So maybe there's different angles that they could maybe have approached it. It is only a shortish clip. It's a 4-minute clip, so I mean maybe they could have talked about it in all them different angles, like I said. Moreover, but personally, I felt like he was a bit harsh on him. I mean, the actual season that Chelsea had did kind of reflect his performance in itself. So maybe it's actually the team as well that's not helping Morata getting there. I mean, they did mention about him being a man and of like being able to, take that responsibility and trying to pick up the team. But yeah. So it's obvious at some point in the video we have to talk about Diego Costa. The reason for it is that's what Morata is there for. He's really there to replace Costa. So I'm going to compare him to his season before, his 16-17 season of Costa, that Chelsea actually won the league. So he did have 35 games in all competitions. It's 20 goals and 7 assists, so 27 goals that he's involved in, 3.2 shots per game, an average rating from WhoScored.com of 7.4, and like I said, a league winning team. Like I said, it is hard to compare the two with the teams being so different. I mean, not necessarily all the players being different, how the actual team played. But if you are just going off statistics, it's clear that Costa is the better player. Obviously, being involved in plenty more goals, being 5 goals and 1 more assist, and a better match rating of 0.6. I mean, that obviously shows you that Costa is the better player in that respect. Bit older, but again, you can't really compare the two different players in different teams completely. From one winning the league to the other one obviously not doing too well in the league at all. So to really conclude the video, and the actual title of the video is he worth it? Is Morata worth that price tag they put on, that 70 million price tag? Is he worth it? And in my opinion, yes he is worth it. And the reason for it is the fact that he's so young. He's got this calibre of player that he's played for Real Madrid, coming out of their academy. He's played for Juventus. He played very well at Juventus, and he's only had a season at Chelsea. It's a matter of Chelsea being able to fit around him as well as just using him really. That price tag on his head can come back if they start winning the Premier League, or if they do put in the Premier League, if they do really well in the Champions League, potentially even win the Champions League. That price tag does come back. And even if it's not going well, I mean, after this year is going to be the year that you're potentially going to have to judge him, see if that price tag is really worth it. But I think it has to be at the end of that season to really know And if it isn't going too well for him, I mean, it's a matter of you can get rid of him. I mean, that 70 million price tag, once he's 26, he's probably going to be around the same anyway. I mean, the market's always going up. Strikers are always wanted, especially strikers that are really good target men who've got really good experience. So the chances are, even if he's not doing too well at the end of the 18 to 19 season, they could get rid of him. I mean, bring someone else in that maybe fits their system. So personally, I do think he is worth it.